Fahrenheit. After 9 hours, this gentleman that was flying, the pilot, Tom McGraw, came from Coast Guard. 10 minutes after the eruption stopped, he was up here. And they're looking into a truck that 2 people occupied and are no longer alive. 57 people were killed. 57. Over 200 homes destroyed, completely destroyed. 185 miles of roadway, 15 miles of track, and an innumerable amount of animals, livestock, and so forth that were killed. This gentleman is Mike Graham. He's from the Grant County, Washington Fire Department, and he was in the co-pilot seat coming up toward the truck. You had complete devastation. The Weyerhaeuser trucks and equipment were just completely destroyed. If this volcano had not erupted on Sunday, if it would have erupted the day after, you would have had, I don't know how many hundred of Weyerhaeuser employees out there harvesting. Fortunately, they were there. You would have never found them had they been there. Little lake. Look at the logs, the wood. The wood was so impregnated with ash, which is a tiny little bit of stone, so impregnated that you could only chop one tree part way without having to change your chain, because you're cutting through almost stone and wood. This wood was no good. You just couldn't use it. You had represented here. You had 3.2 billion board feet destroyed of wood. That is equivalent to 640,000 three-bedroom homes. That's a lot of wood that was all destroyed within about 8 to 9 minutes, just all knocked down. This is the Cowlitz River. There were 6 or 7 major river systems that were completely blocked. You've got wood, debris coming down through. These would wash up, way up into where they had homes. And if people had vacated these homes prior to this, then they were caught unawares. You had lahars that were created from this because of the rivers. They would mix with the mud. Some of these would travel at 60 miles an hour. And that's very fast mud and water traveling. There were bridges completely washed out. There were actually 13 bridges that were all washed out as logs hit the bridges and took everything on downstream. Homes completely destroyed and inundated. Weyerhaeuser, they look like a bunch of little Tonka trucks. After the explosion, this is the crater. Now, actually, this picture is the picture between June 12 and July 22. That this crater, is 2 miles long and 1.2 miles deep. You have the, I just want to say it now. The name of my little guy right here. I'll think of him in a second. He's 3,300 feet long and 1,000 feet high. Does anyone want to say it? Yeah, lava-dome. Thank you very much. Lava-dome. There were 6 lava-domes that came and went. And this is made up of just that. A little bit of lava coming up, just makes a little dome, then it gets blown off. And every time the mountain exploded, it exploded north first. So it exploded out in the same place it had hit before, and then would eventually direct itself upward. You're looking down into the throat of the volcano. These are very hot rocks, and there's some gases in here. There was a blue-colored gas deep down in there. They couldn't find out what it was. They couldn't get sensors up there in time to find out. During the winter time, the crater would fill up with snow, and this is just early winter. It would just totally pack itself in with snow. You had 6 major eruptions during the year of 1980. Now you're looking at Spirit Lake. This is after the first eruption. Represented here is, again, about 600 feet of debris that has been dumped on top. One of the steam explosion pits, which I will show you in a minute, was eroded into. And I want to show you something now. This is the first major geologic oddity that wasn't so odd now. You're looking at the little person standing down here, and you see 3 distinct layers, don't you? This layer here was laid down May 18, 1980. This layer here was laid down on June 12, 1980. And this layer up here was laid down March 19, 1982. This layer in here is about 25 feet in thickness, and it was the explosion of June 12 that took about 5 hours to explode. So let's go and take a little closer look at that layer. Now, what do you see? You see strata. Okay? Now, let me tell you, a hallmark of evolution is strata. They have always maintained that it takes millions and millions of years. I could say billions, but that was Carl Sagan. So it takes millions of years to build up strata. Okay? Now, let's get a little bit closer. What do you see now? You see different thicknesses of strata all the way down to 1 millimeter, from 3 feet thick to 1 millimeter. This is incredible. What we said as creationists and creation scientists is that during the flood, you could lay down layer after layer after layer very, very quickly. And what we have here, the physics between a water-charged slurry and a gas-charged slurry is the same at high speed. But you would expect that everything would be homogeneous and all mixed up in all of that, wouldn't you? That's what the evolutionists said. Oh, it'd be homogeneous. You wouldn't see layers like this. That's preposterous. But now we see layers. What actually happened is in winds stronger than a hurricane, that it was able to sort itself out by size, density, and shape. And you see all the same. You see little tiny laminations, and that's the key word, little tiny laminations here. They said to get laminations, the evolutionist says that occurred over millions of years in a calm ocean. Calm ocean. It would be there. It would lay down a little bit of strata because, you know, the fishes do their things and everything kind of does its thing. It lays down a little bit of strata. Then the ocean dries up and goes away. Doesn't disturb anything. And for maybe another million years, it comes back again. What happened during the million years that it was gone? Nothing grew on it. No roots came down. Nothing disturbed it. There was no wind. No one walked on it. No animal said, hey, nice property. Nothing happened. And it came back and it laid down another thin layer. But we know now